All right, how's everybody doing tonight? What is up with my hair? Welcome to Vegas Bitcoin Live. Let me get everything set up here. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. Get this pulled up and all right, let's get started. This is episode 2 of a new show I'm calling Vegas Bitcoin Live. I don't know if that's going to be the full name of it, but this is episode 2. And what I'm going to do is I may try to make the episode shorter. Last episode was about an hour, and I think that it was a little bit long, and I'm looking over my notes, and I tried to cover like 100 different things. So for this episode, I wrote down 2 things. I'm going to cover 2 things, and then if anybody comes on the show and asks any questions, we can go over that. But I'm going to try and keep it a little bit more simple, a little more focused instead of jumping all over the place. And if there's other topics to discuss, I can put it down for a different episode. There's a lot to go over, and it doesn't make sense to try and just throw everything all together. I'm still kind of new to this whole online show thing, so we're just going to talk about 2 things and call it good. So let's get started, shall we? Let me do one thing. Let's see. I'm going to post it. 1, 2. There was, just like I did last time, I'm taking notes, and then I will post all of our notes from the video in the description. So that way you don't have to try and take notes along the way. I'll try and post it as we go. And let's see. I need to share the link in one more place. All right, episode 2. And we're off. So the last show, we were all over the place. I have 2 things, and then after I talk about 2 of those things, I'll try to decide what we're going to do after that, if we wrap it up or if we keep going. So the first thing I have is talking about the price increase. So as you can see, I have the price pulled up here. This is one of my favorite websites for the Bitcoin price, and I've mentioned it before, but it is Preev.com, and there's a few different things you can do to this. You can do on this website that's very helpful. The first thing is you pull it up and you can see the price right away. It has the different sources of the price in the settings. You can change it if you want. I usually just leave the defaults. So in the last video, the price was $23,000 and $23,010. And now it's $23,410. $420. It went up by $10. So the other show was 4 days ago. So in 4 days, it went up $400. And what that means is if you're watching my show and you went out and you happen to spend $23,000 on Bitcoin, which you don't need to do, but if you did, if you bought one full Bitcoin, then you would have made $400. Now, just for the record, I'm not a financial advisor. These assets, these cryptocurrencies that I'm talking about, carry a lot of risk with them. So you can't assume that by watching my video that you can go out and buy a full Bitcoin and then you're going to make $400 every 4 days. That's not how it works. And just to prove it to you, I'm going to pull up a couple other websites and I will link each one of them. I'm going to link each one of them in the description. Now, this one that I have right here is, this chart is under my account on TradingView, so I don't know if you'll have access to the chart or not. It might be a chart that is specific to me. So if I look at the daily chart, that's October. This one, 16 December. So my show is on the 18th, which is here. So it started here, 22,138, and now 23. So it went up like $2,000. No, I read that wrong. But what I'm trying to get at is that right here, if you can see this orange candle, it started at 18,700, and then by the next day, it was 17,000. So it went down $1,000. That was November 29th. So there's some people out there that they'll buy it and then the price is going to drop on them, and then they automatically are upset because their asset lost value. And they have a right to be upset. If you have any kind of asset and it loses value, you're going to be upset with it. The thing is that on November 28th, instead of selling, if they just hold on to it, it's going to go up 18,170, 19,600. It's like $1,500. Within those 2 or 3 days, they're going to make $1,500. So that's how volatile it is. It's very volatile. And if you look at this chart, it's going to go up even more, and it's going to break $20,000. So this line right here, if you can see that dotted line, that is the $20,000 line. So all of that other movement above that dotted line is in the 20,000s, and it's over the last week. So this past week has been pretty crazy. So that is the first thing I wanted to talk about, is the price movement and how over the last week there was a time where it went up $1,000 every day. It went from 21,000 to 22,000. The next day, 22,000, 23,000, etc. So one thing that I wanted to show you, this is on CoinMarketCap, is I wanted to show you the history of Bitcoin. And right now, this chart shows 2020, what it was doing. So back in January, that's December, January, it was $7,800. So yes, if you buy it in January of 2020 at 7,800, if you would have kept your one Bitcoin, you would have made over $10,000. Does that happen every year with Bitcoin? No. Will it happen in the future? I don't know. Some people think they know what it is, but other people don't. So we are rising to above 20,000, and it's nearly 24,000. So what I want to do is I want to go back in time to the end of 2017. So back in November of 2017, it was about $7,000. This was November 4th. $7,100, November 4th, 2017. And over the next couple months, the price shot up really high to $20,000. So on December 17th, which is nearly 3 years ago today, it was shooting straight up, and people call it shooting to the moon. And you can see what happens after this, right? You enter a period of time where, just like now, you see the news is covering it, you see investors that are trying to jump in because the price is so high, and you have brand new retail investors that are jumping in. And little do they know, they're jumping in at the top, which, if you're an investor, you want to buy low and sell high. So there were a lot of people that had already had Bitcoin, and they started selling it a lot. They sold a lot of it. Down here at the bottom is the volume. So you can see the amount of volume that was happening. Over here, there was a low amount of volume. And then in the month of December and January, a huge amount of transactions and a lot of selling was going on. So the reason why I want to talk about the price, and then I also want to talk about a possible crash. Now, I'm not trying to spread fear. I'm trying to spread awareness, because this has happened before. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen. It may go from 20,000 up to 30,000, and it may keep going. I don't know. But what I will tell you is that there are people that see the movements that Bitcoin does as a pattern where history tends to repeat itself. So if that's true, you can go back to the beginning of 2018 and you can see what happened. Now, it started going down. It went from 20,000 to 13,000, and then it started going up. So people were thinking, yeah, it went down, and then people started buying it, and then it started heading to 20,000 again. Well, you had these wicked up and down movements, and it eventually got up to $17,000. But then after that, every peak after that continued to get lower and lower until I believe it was 3,800 at some point. And actually right here, 6,400, 6,500, it started going up, but then it kept going back to 6,500. So what they call this is a correction. So I want to talk about corrections, just so there may be some people out there that may not have heard of that term before. And I like drawing pictures, so if you can just stay with me on this. So you have a stock, or not a stock, you have a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, and the chart looks like it's going up, it's coming down, up, down, up, down. Okay, so this starts like pretty low. So there are people that draw, there's a line, and I don't know the term for what the line is, but it's how they measure what they believe the price should be. So I'm just going to throw a line out there just to explain this. So let's say right here we're at $7,000 for one Bitcoin. Okay, let's just say that. Let's say this is $20,000. Okay. So I'm going to throw some other amounts like 3,800. This would be 11,000. And here we went way down, 2,000. So when people talk about a correction, they think that the price at this point, so this whole thing is a timeline, right? That black line is the timeline as you go forward in time. So at this point in time, right here, let's say this is November 2017. It's here at 7,000. So it's at the price where they think it should be. If the actual price of Bitcoin shoots up to 20,000, the correction should be down, because the analysts that draw this line of what the price should be, they think the price should be at 7,500 at the end of 2017. So if this is January, my handwriting is going to be really bad. But this is January 2018. The price should be 7,500, but it's at 20,000. The investors that are out there, they're going to be shorting this. They're going to do leverage trading because they know this is trying to come down to the price that it should be at. Because that's what they believe, that it's trying to get back to what the actual price of Bitcoin is. So when they see it shoot up, they know that's not sustainable. Okay, it might shoot up short term, but over the long term, it's going to follow this trend. I think it's called a trend line. So you'll see it go way up and way down. I believe it went down to 3,800. So as it was going down, the really good investors started buying it up because they knew there was a correction in the upward direction back to the point that it should be at on the trend line. So when you'll hear people talk about corrections, what I believe they're talking about is how the price that Bitcoin is at, it's not at an actual price of what it should be at. So right here it's going way down. So people will know that it's going to come back up. And what it does is it may very rarely be on the trend line. It may either be way above the trend line or it may be way below the trend line. And the people that are using these trend lines, they know that the price is going to move towards that trend line. So that's been something that I've been trying to learn about. I'm not an expert on technical analysis or TA there's a lot of people that study TA for the traditional stock market. There are some similar terms between the stock market and cryptocurrencies, but there's also a lot of differences. So just because someone's in the stock market doing that doesn't mean that they're going to do really well with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies because it's a completely different animal. Completely different. So I'm going to wrap up with the corrections discussion. I thought it was really important to show you 2017 and the way that it went up and then it came back down. So you can go out to CoinMarketCap. If you go to the Bitcoin page at the bottom, there's a chart and you can choose how much you want to look at. As you can see, this is 2017. In 2019, it went back up to 13,000 and came down to 5,200. And after 5,200, in the middle, what is that, March 2020, it started climbing. And as you remember, March 2020 is when the whole coronavirus started up. So ironically, that is when people started buying Bitcoin, and it's been growing ever since March, which is a really big coincidence, if you believe in coincidences. So right now we are at 24,000. So I just want to put that information out there. You can use that information however you feel. I'm not going to tell you to buy or sell. But what I will tell you, if you ask what I'm doing, I never sell Bitcoin. To be 100% honest with you, I started buying it back in 2013. And in 2013, it started with $100. It went up to, it was at around like 200, like right here, $250. It went up to 800 and then back down to 200. So you can imagine if you're back in 2013 and it's only worth $100, it shoots up to 800 or 1,000. Actually, that was the first time it went to 1,000 was in 2013. And it was on the news, just like now. So it happened in 2013, it happened in 2017, it happened in 2019. It looks like it's happening again, and it looks like it's happening more frequently. Before it was like every 6 years, every 4 years, every 2 years. Now it might be every year, maybe every 6 months. You have these giant jumps and then these huge drops. And if if you follow it and you study it and you learn it, you can make money off of trading. I tried to do it. I'm not very good at it, but if you can buy it low, and then if you feel like selling it, you can sell it high. And someone told me the other day, if you know it's going down and you have it right now and it's really high, why don't you just sell it? And then when it drops, you buy the same amount back up. And that's exactly what you do. The big question is, when do you do that? If you can figure out when to do that, you can make a lot of money doing it. So I'm not an expert trader. I'm actually not very good at trading. I'm really good at holding it. I'm really good at buying and holding it. And I know a little bit about the background of Bitcoin, and that's why I'm doing these video episodes. So I believe I'm going to wrap up the show. I'm going to make it somewhat of a short one. It's not as long as last time, but I definitely wanted to talk about the price movement because I think it's going to keep moving in different directions. It'll either keep going up, it may go down, or it may stay around the same areas. So that's probably obvious, but it'll be really interesting to see what happens next with it. So I'm going to wrap up for today, but I really appreciate all you guys watching it. I'm still not sure if I'm going to start my own channel or just continue to create videos on my personal YouTube channel because that's what I'm doing right now. But definitely leave a comment if you guys have any questions, and I'll respond to the comments. I'm going to try and do these shows a couple times, at least once a week, maybe a couple times a week, depending on what's going on and how much content there is. So thanks everybody for watching, and I will catch you next time.